If I keep saying I'm going on hiatus, it's eventually going to be true. It's eventually going to happen. It's like The Secret. You got to visualize it. Um, but yeah, another week of Velvet Owl watches movies so you don't have to. And I'm actually excited for this week. I'm going to be watching The Gods Must Be Crazy 3, Crazy Safari. And now, if you've never seen The Gods Must Be Crazy or The Gods Must Be Crazy 2, you must rectify that and watch it. Or just the first one. Not necessarily the second one. Though watch that one too. It doesn't take too much out of your life. Um, Fantastic movie that's set in like South Africa where a Bushman gets hit by a Coca-Cola bottle and the entire tribe thinks, oh, this is a gift from the gods until people start fighting over it and they decide they gotta throw it off the edge of the world or something. And I loved that movie as a kid. And then when I watched it as I got older, as an adult, it is just so bizarre. It feels like they just kind of smashed a bunch of films together. Like they just ran three different film productions or something, ran out of money. And it seems like more they were going for like a political drama at some point, but the film speed was shot at the wrong speed. So it just came off like a Keystone Cop comedy. It's so bizarre. You should watch it if you haven't. It's just an odd film. But apparently, according to Wikipedia, after the two films, China decided to make three Gods Must Be Crazy films themselves. So they're not officially part of the franchise, but they do star the same Bushman guy, whose name is like Nakakl, which is probably the most offensive butchering I've done of any name throughout this podcast series. But there's a click in it, so it's like Nek. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. I just know there's a click in it because it's just the language of the Bushmen. Um, and I wish I could look it up now, but he's apparently the most famous actor from this tribe, which has always made me wonder, because that implies that there's a second famous, and I wonder who that is. But anyhow, like the Chinese, much like India loves Baby's Day Out to like a disturbing degree, I guess China feels the same way if The Gods Must Be Crazy, and they made their own films. And according to Wikipedia, this one, part 3, which I haven't seen yet. Strangely, I have seen part 4. I don't know why. It just was on a random channel that I had, so I decided to watch it. But part 3, according to Wikipedia, has vampires. So you combine the insanity of The Gods Must Be Crazy with the insanity of vampires, just throwing in there. My God, this is going to be like the most fantastic movie ever. Or the worst movie ever. Or somewhere in between. I don't know. But I am excited. So let's get going with the film. So we start off with shots of African safaris and all that. Well, not really safaris, just the African animals running around, some lions, Rhino stomping out a fire, which, I don't know, I hope that's something they just caught by accident. I hope they didn't set a fire and then hope that the Rhino would be able to stomp it out. 'Cause there's this movie, Mountain of the Cannibal God, which features this really weird kind of random scene where a snake kills a monkey. And it's very gratuitous because there is absolutely no point to having the scene because it's like, it doesn't further the plot at all. None of the characters are watching it happen. It's just there. And I think it's trying to be like, to add extra shock factor or something. But on the documentary, on the DVD, the making of, the filmmakers, and I think it's kind of funny in the documentary because the filmmakers talk about like, oh, we just happened to catch it and it was amazing, so we decided to include it. Then they show like uncut footage and you can see someone pushing the monkey towards the snake. And that's just fucked up. So I hope that they didn't set this fire intentionally in hopes that a rhino would stamp it out, because that could have gone very bad. Do not burn the rhino. And so now we're back in civilization, and we're at an auction place, and they're auctioning off a Chinese mummy. I don't know what kind of auction place this is. Like, is this something that happens? Do places auction off mummies? And there's a Chinese guy, and he's like, I have to get my ancestor back. Talking to himself, not like, well, talking to his associate, not to like the grand, like, auctioneer going, I must have my ancestor back. But still, do they really fucking, like, auction off mummies? Like, is it, like, to museums they're auctioning off? I hope so. Like, yeah, if you got the money, we don't really care what you're doing with this mummy. Whatever fetish you have, we're sticking our fingers in our ears. La, 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 la. We don't know what you're doing. Because, you know, there's some sick fuck with a mummy fetish betting on this mummy. Now, before the auction gets underway, before they start bidding on this very valuable Chinese mummy, they run a film to teach everyone the differences between the European vampire and the Chinese vampire. For example, European vampire can be scared off with crosses, but not the Chinese vampire. See, Chinese vampires are controlled completely by yellow pieces of paper with Chinese scripture on it. So that's what you need to control the Chinese vampire. You can't use sunlight or crosses or all that fun stuff. They didn't mention stakes through the heart. I don't know. I think stakes through the heart kind of are a universal. Any sort of creature will be killed by a stake to the heart. It's just obvious, really. So the bidding starts, and the Chinese guy, you know, he's bidding, but then he starts getting outbid by this other guy, who I think is American or something. He's white. We'll just go with white. That will cover everything. There's a Chinese guy and a white guy, and they're fighting bids, and the white guy bids 100,000 pounds, which, I don't know. I mean, they started the bid at 50,000 pounds, which for me feels kind of low for a mummy. But this film is from the early 90s, so maybe that's the equivalent of like a gajillion pounds these days. And I'm kind of bad with my pounds to dollars ratio anyhow. So I don't know. Maybe this is like a high price for a mummy. But the Chinese guy, he starts pleading with the white guy like, no, this is my great-great-great-great-grandfather. I must have him. And the white guy's like, well, how are you going to prove that it's your great-great-great-great-grandfather? And so they decide, the Chinese guy and his associate, we're going to bring him to life, and that'll prove it. And so the associate just suddenly has like this big yellow robe that he's been hiding underneath his suit. Like, I don't know where this fucking robe came from. And he does his spell, his ritual, and the Chinese mummy comes to life. And the Chinese guy warns everyone, hold your breath, which everyone does, except for the white guy that was trying to bid it. He's like, sighing or just scoffing. So, of course, since he's breathing, the Chinese mummy comes jumping after him. Luckily, the associate stops him with a yellow piece of paper with Chinese scripture on it. And so, since it's proved that they can bring him to life, they get to have the mummy. Personally, I don't think that really proves that it's this guy's great-great-great-great-grandfather. It just proves that the associate guy can bring people back to life. So, I think there's still an argument to be had, but Chinese mummy did try to kill you, so I would let it go. Now, they go outside the building, and some sort of, like, huge festival is going on. It's like, they say it's Halloween, but it's kind of like a Mardi Gras-esque festival. Like, everyone's just in the street partying. So, I don't know. They didn't say where this was, so I have no idea, like, what kind of, like, crazy, like, Halloween festival is going on. But it works to their favor because then everyone just thinks that this Chinese mummy is just a guy in costume. But unfortunately, a guy's riding his bicycle and ringing his bell. And I think I forgot to mention, bells also control these Chinese mummy vampires. So, Chinese vampire, I don't know, should I refer to him as a mummy or a vampire? Or a mummy vampire? And do I need to keep saying he's Chinese when I don't think there's any other any other mummy vampires, at least not so far. So, we'll go with mummy vampire. Let me stop being so racist by adding Chinese. We all know he's Chinese. But the mummy vampire starts chasing the bell, and he hops. He doesn't walk. So far throughout the film, he doesn't walk. He hops, which might be a mummy vampire thing. Or specifically a Chinese mummy vampire thing. In that case, I should bring up Chinese mummy vampire. So I guess I'll keep referring to that just because we know that the rules are different from regular mummy vampires. So he hops and somehow ends up in an alley, and these guys are about to mug him. But unfortunately, they make the mistake of taking off the yellow piece of paper from his face. So now he's in full Chinese mummy vampire eating mode, and he's about to kill them. But luckily, the Chinese guy and his associate find him and put the Chinese paper back on him before anyone can die. So they get the Chinese mummy vampire onto a private plane. A very small, plane, nothing fancy. More a jet. I don't know. Would it be considered a private plane or a private jet? Either way, they're headed back to Hong Kong. But unfortunately, the pilot, who's drinking a Coke bottle, which very important because in the original Gods Must Be Crazy, it was a plane pilot that threw out the Coke bottle that led to all the shenanigans. So it could possibly be that bottle is going to end up down in Africa, where it'll bless the rains, or the winds. What's the line? They bless the rains down in Africa, right? I don't know. That is a horrible song. I don't know why people like it. I don't know why fucking Weezer decided to cover it, other than they've become, one of the shittiest bands ever. Seriously, they had, a great, great debut album, and just who knows what became of them, really. But where was I going? Yeah, so they're in the plane, but the compass isn't working. Luckily, the associate guy has a Chinese compass. And don't come at me for being racist with all this shit, because that's what they called it. They called it a Chinese compass. Because apparently the compass was invented in China, so it has to be the greatest compass ever, and somehow they're still lost. Meanwhile, down in Africa, I'll call him Click, since that's the only part of his name I can even pronounce, really. Click. He's hunting animals. When he comes across, some of his fellow Bushmen are tied up in the back of a jeep. So he unties them and frees them. But the safari hunters are like, no, you can't have this. And they start chasing after them. So I don't know, were they hunting actual Bushmen instead of just the animals? But the safari hunters also had witch doctors with them, with the big fucking wooden masks and spears. So I don't know, were the witch doctors helping to sell Bushmen to the safari hunters? I don't think we're going to find out because that's all off screen now, and Click is speaking to this white lady, who I'm guessing is South African. But I don't know. I don't know who's doing the dubs for this, because the voice sounds kind of Asian. So, but she doesn't look Asian. So I don't know if they, just because this was a Chinese film, they just hired all Chinese actors to do the dubbing. But that makes no sense because the dubbing is in English. So were they only able to find they just put an ad out for Asians that could speak English and hired them based on that? I don't know. I am so confused. Now the plane's run out of fuel. So they're about to crash. They're going to need to try to glide it down. But in order to that, they have to get rid of as much weight as they can. Now, obviously, they can't just dump the Chinese mummy vampire out because it's that guy's ancestor. So instead, they dump the rest of the cargo, which is just fucking cases and cases of Coca-Cola. Which, I mean, did Coke have like a sponsorship deal with this? Like, did they have a sponsorship deal with the first one, or did they just kind of throw in, yeah, it's a Coke bottle. Fuck you, Coca-Cola. What are you gonna do? Or was Coca-Cola completely cool with it? Like, yeah, even though our bottle kind of brought about the end of this village, we're cool with it. We're trying to capture the South African market, and now they're after the Chinese market. The Chinese/South African market. But anyhow, all these Coke bottles come flying down and knock out the safari hunters, so allowing Click and his... Okay, a little glitch there, but... So, Click and the rest of his fellow tribesmen get to escape because everyone's knocked out by the Coca-Cola bottles, which luckily only hit the bad guys. So, Coke, good. Meanwhile, the plane, there's pretty much no hope. So the pilot's like, there's 2 parachutes left, and I'm taking one, so out of here, suckers. But the Chinese managed to hoodwink him, and instead of getting a parachute, he gets a knapsack. And he falls to his death, and it's hilarious. People falling to their death is always funny. Not really, but it is in this case. So, but the Chinese guy, he's like... Okay, we have 2 parachutes left, but one of them has to go on the Chinese mummy because he's my ancestor and he's willing to make the sacrifice. So they push the Chinese mummy vampire out and pull his ripcord so that his parachute can land him to safety. Meanwhile, the other 2 guys, they just... I don't know, it seems like they're going to share the parachute, I guess. So hopefully it works out for them. So have I decided on a name? The indigenous family of girls, the Bushmen women that were kidnapped, they're running, and they're being chased by Zulu warriors. I was wrong earlier in thinking they were witch doctors. Those weren't masks, they were shields, and they've got spears. So the Zulu warriors are just, because they're rounding them up for the white hunters. Actually, one's white and one's black. So, actually, was apartheid still going on in 91? This film shows the coming together of races, that white and black people can both exploit the indigenous people. Finally, they have something in common. Maybe that's what ended apartheid, is just the raiding of indigenous people for sex slaves, I'm assuming. So they're chasing them and trying to kill Click, and because, he's saving them and being just a complete pain in their ass. But then the Chinese mummy vampire, whatever, falls from the sky and lands perfectly on its feet. And the hunters, safari drug traffickers, I don't know why I'm considering them drug traffickers. They're probably human traffickers. No, probably about it. They fucking are kidnapping women, so they gotta be human traffickers. They're like, what the fuck is this? Kill it! And the Zulu warriors throw their spears. Is it racist of me to call them Zulu warriors? Because that would be specifically to one nation. But I'm just trying to give you an image in your head. And I know in your head, you see someone like this and you're going to think Zulu warrior. So you know what I'm talking about. Easier than trying to fucking explain it. So actually, I'm using your racism to get my point across. So they try to throw their spears at the Chinese mummy vampire, but it doesn't work. The spears just break because remember, spears don't work against Chinese vampires. So they've got no luck. And Click, not really knowing what else to do, takes the Post-it note off the Chinese vampire's face. And that means that he's alive again, and he's attacking by hopping. Have I mentioned that yet? I always forget what I've mentioned and what I haven't. But he hops, and that just... I don't know, it just kind of drives me crazy. Actually, I think that's kind of scarier. If I was being chased by a hopping vampire, I think that would be scarier than a walking vampire or a flying vampire. fucking hopping vampire would just freak me the fuck out, and I'd be like, I give up. Just suck my blood or whatever. So the Chinese vampire is just hopping along and just chasing everyone. The way the Chinese vampire hops reminds me of like those old kung fu movies that most people really know the style from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or was it Crouching Dragon, Hidden Tiger? Whichever one. You know, people love that movie, and I think they kind of all just forgot about it. But you know, like the ridiculous, like acrobatic on strings, super high jumps. I'm more partial to the heroic trio. That is a fucking fantastic film, and probably closer to this because with the weird, like, villains. Maybe I'll just watch that instead of finishing this. But no, actually, this is entertaining watching the Chinese vampire just hop around and chasing all the hunters. And somehow, I don't know if he did it intentionally, but Click puts the post-it back on the Chinese vampire, which stops him from his, like, crazed rampage. And he's trying to free the women from the chains, or not chains, but ropes. The ropes with bells on. And remember, the bells can control the Chinese vampire. So every time he's trying to take the rope off and the bell rings, the Chinese vampire takes a hop towards them and they all get scared and run a little further. Then he tries to undo the ropes. The bell rings and Chinese vampire hops again. Oh no. Will Click ever be able to get the women free? You know, I think Click might be the Kevin Hart of Bushmen. I don't know, he's kind of got like the Kevin Hart energy and cadence to his speak. So, if you want... Or really, since he came first, Kevin Hart would be the Click of Americans. I was trying to figure out a description that wouldn't sound completely racist. And really there was no way, so we'll just say of all Americans. But so, they get the female safari hunter. Remember her? Yeah, she had gotten knocked out. And they managed to wake her up and put her into her Jeep. And then Click with a bunch of other of the Bushmen, decide they're gonna drive the Jeep back to camp or whatever. I'm not sure where they were planning, but it doesn't work out so well, and they crash the Jeep. But they find an innovative way, and I think a much more efficient way of driving the Jeep. They just hook it up to some elephants, and the elephants pull the Jeep along. So the Chinese guy and his associate have a safe landing. You know what? I don't like calling him the Chinese guy. It just seems kind of racist. So he's the Chinese grandson from now on. Yes, that makes it less racist. He's not just a Chinese guy. Is he even the grandson? He's the great-great-grandson. But that's too many words. He's the grandson. We're going with that. So he held on to his associate, and they landed safely in a tree, which unfortunately is right above a pricker bush, and they're trying to get down without being pricked. But there's a lion, and the lion is going to do what lions do, look at humans hungrily and go, dinner. Or lunch, maybe, because it's daylight. I don't know. I don't know at what point that lions have dinner in Africa. Not something I was taught in school. So the associate decides he's going to try to do some magic spells, but he needs to get to his knapsack full of magic spells. But the lion is guarding it. But then he runs off because there's a rhino. And the rhino starts going towards the grandson and his associate. And so apparently the magic spell is done by burning the pieces of paper. And they throw the pieces of paper that are on fire at the rhino. And the rhino stamps him out because, you know, he doesn't want to start a fire in the village. He's very considerate that way. And so now it makes sense, that scene earlier in the film during the credits of a rhino stamping out a fire. It actually was part of the plot. So they think, oh, well, this is the way. So they throw more paper, flaming paper at the rhino. But the rhino just fucking like headbutts it and kicks it back towards them and then starts chasing them again. So they run up a tree with lots of wacky sound effects and, the speed going at like Keystone Cop 5 times regular speed. And then the associate decides, nah, well, we're stuck here, so I'm going to take a nap. Back at the tribe's village, Click and his fellow tribesmen are trying to figure out what to do with the Chinese vampire. Or I guess even try to figure out what the fuck the Chinese vampire is. And they're talking in their native language, so I have no fucking clue what they're saying. But I'm guessing it's probably like the equivalent of, what the fuck is that thing? And then they're gathered around the campfire, and they have a can of Coca-Cola that had fallen from the plane earlier. And I don't know if Click recognizes that it's the same brand as the Coke bottle from the first film. I don't know if there's even supposed to be that type of continuity. Maybe Click is playing a completely different tribesman in this film. But, you know, they're trying to figure out what's with the Coke can. And they accidentally open it, and the liquid starts spilling out. And there's just a big argument between a bunch of them, because they taste it, and it's like, it tastes so fucking good. It's so sweet. I want it. No, give it to me. No, give it to me. And this would be hilarious if not for the fact that this is the kind of shit that Coca-Cola actually does in real life, of like convincing third world nations that Coke is more important to have than water. And so they just fucking ruin their lives by focusing on having Coke and not water. So just to destroy third world nations the way they're destroying the first world nations by pushing their carbonated corn syrup agenda. So I can't really laugh because I know this is the type of thing Coca-Cola is ruined. They're destroying. And again, I wonder, like, is Coca-Cola okay with the fact that, you know, their product is being used in these films? And if so, like, they're fucking okay with the basic message of these films have generally been Coke is evil and disrupts the natural order of human beings. So I could understand if, like, you know, the first Gods Must Be Crazy, they kind of got away with it, and then Coke finds out, be like, fuck you guys, you are not using our products anymore. And then these films are made by the Chinese, and the Chinese are just like, fuck you, Coke. We're Chinese, we're going to do what we want. And you're going to bow down to us because the Chinese rule the world, the Chinese prop up your fucking American economy. And so it is. Coke has no choice. They are fucked. They have to let the Chinese do whatever the fuck they want with Coke products in their Gods Must Be Crazy films. Back over at the tree, a bunch of baboons show up and they steal the food from the Chinese grandson and his associate. And the associate first is like, you know, joke's on them. They can't open it because they don't have opposable thumbs, so we'll just get the food after the baboons get tired of trying to open it. But the baboons open it. They open the food because, you know, it's not the can opener type of food. It's the flip lid. You just pull back the lid and you got the food. The baboons figured it out because baboons are fucking brilliant. So the associate, who I guess has probably just run out of magic spells because he's not even trying any, he just chases after the baboons, who go running with the food, and then they team up with monkeys, and I guess I kind of missed what happened, but the monkeys start clapping, and the baboons are off with the food, except for one can that they can't eat because the ants have gotten to it. Oh man, they're just not having any luck. Back again, once again at the village, Click is working on some tools and stuff, doing some work. He's got like a pickaxe, and the female safari hunter is there, and she notices that on the pickaxe, there's some diamonds. So she tricks Click by trading him a compact for the diamonds, for the diamond axe. She takes the whole axe. She's not about to start picking the diamonds out now. And Click, he starts playing with the makeup, puts it on, he decides, doesn't really make him look pretty. So he tries to get back his axe, but no. Too late, she's gotten into her Jeep and driven off, and oh no. So Click is showing the other guys, and they kind of like the mirror part of the compact. It's like kind of crazy, like, whoa! It's like, hey, there's a tiny me in there. What's going on? So they like the mirror, not so much the makeup. The grandson comes up with a super convoluted plan to find the Chinese vampire mummy. And his associate's just like, yeah, that's a stupid plan. We're not doing it. Instead, we're going to make you fly. Yes. Because the plan is to try to do like parasailing, and they put the parachute on the grandson. Meanwhile, holding the rope, the associate jumps on an ostrich, and the ostrich goes running. And I really think it should not fucking work at all, but I don't know physics that well. So apparently it works. There's enough speed from the ostrich to cause the parachute to catch enough wind so that the grandson goes flying. And he's like, wow, I'm doing it. I'm flying and I'm looking everywhere. And I don't see my great-great-great-grandfather. But unfortunately, the plan gets ruined because the rhinoceros comes back. And it scares the ostrich and kicks the associate off its back, and the grandson comes flying, crashing down to the ground. Oh, that fucking rhinoceros. He just always gets in the fucking way. Fucking rhinoceros. That is why they are endangered. Because we have to kill them because they're always ruining our plans. Again, I do not advocate the killing of rhinos. And I don't really know why I said again, because I have not stressed that point before. I have not brought that up, but just so everyone is on the same page and knows, I do not advocate the killing of rhinos. At the village once again, and the children have realized that if they ring the bell, it will cause the Chinese vampire mommy to hop around. And so they just kind of run around with the bell, ringing it and causing the vampire to hop around, and honestly, it looks pretty fun. I want to get myself a Chinese vampire now and a bell so I can play with it and have it hop around. It seems like a lot of fun. But then unfortunately, they throw the bell up into the tree, and the game's over, and Click has to go and grab the bell out of the tree. And then he realizes, kind of by accident, ring the bell where the Chinese vampire is, he'll just bump into this tree, which is a fruit tree, which knocks the fruit down. And the villagers are happy, like, yay, we got the fruit from the tree. Thank you, Chinese vampire. After a lot of walking, the grandson and his associate come across some of the village members. I think Click's among them. I don't know. I think it kind of looks like him, but again, racism! They all look alike to me. But again and again, as I've stated over and over in this podcast throughout all the episodes, everyone looks alike to me. I can't tell white people apart either. It's the curse. So they come across some tribesmen, but unfortunately there's the big language barrier, so communication does not go well between them, and they're unable to get a drink of water. Then this huge fucking snake tries to eat the associate guy. Like, it's just going to Pound Town. Not Pound Town, Chow Town. Whatever. He gets, like, the associate's entire leg in his mouth. So, big fucking snake. But luckily the villagers save him, and they take the snake as a trophy or something. They just wrap it around the log, and they're just happy, like, oh, let's go to the village with this big fucking snake. And I never noticed it before, but Click has a really big fucking butt. Like, it's just fucking huge. I don't know why this just... Maybe it's like the angle he's standing in this shot, but it looks disproportionately big to the rest of his body. So I don't know. Because the rest of his body looks like pretty athletic and fit, because, you know, he's a bushman who has to, like, hunt for his food. So of course he's gonna be like in really good shape. He just has this really big butt. And it's just weird. So back at the village, the villagers are tending to the snake bites, and the associate's really thirsty, so he asks for some water, but they only bring him one drop of water, because, I don't know, I guess water is just a big commodity here. Maybe that's why they like Coca-Cola so much, because it's just fucking something to drink. They don't have a lot of water. But if they get a can of Coke, it's like just fucking precious. And unfortunately, he spills the drop of water. So, but I don't know. Somehow he's not gonna die of thirst, apparently. Now it's nighttime, and the villagers are having a party around the campfire, and the Chinese associate guy, he's getting nervous because he sees a bunch of village girls looking at him and giggling, and he thinks that they want to sleep with him, because apparently that's a custom in many indigenous villages that they'll just offer up their women to fuck, and if you don't fuck them, it's a sign of disrespect. Which you'd think, oh, well, what's the big deal? Especially because it's three hot villager chicks. But Chinese associate guy, I guess, is a Buddhist and has like a vow of celibacy. He's like, I can't do this. I can't break my vow to fuck women. And the Chinese grandson guy, he's like, but you had to. So otherwise it's disrespect and who knows what they'll do. But then he's like, but you know what? I'll take one for the team. I'll do it in your place. And the associate Buddhist guy he's all like, no, it is my fate. I must make the sacrifice. And unfortunately, it's not the hot chicks that want to fuck him. He has to fuck the fat chick. Hardy har har, comedy, fat shaming. I don't know. She's not bad looking. She's thick. Real thick and juicy. Yeah, I wouldn't like fight it if the villagers made me fuck this girl. She ain't bad. She ain't bad at all. She's got some meat on her bones, and that's a good thing sometimes, you know. But yeah, so I guess they fuck because, you know, this is a family film, so we're not gonna get to see like actual fucking. The next morning, Mr. Chinese associate has to take a shit, but unfortunately, this village has no toilet paper. So he decides, well, you know, I'll use a leaf. And apparently, I guess this is probably like in short supply as well, because it involves him having to steal a leaf, and then everyone gets mad, and they're chasing him, and he has to find like some place to hide to take a shit in peace. But unfortunately, the place he is in, there's a cobra. So he can't shit, and he gets scared, and the walls of the hut he's in fall down, and he starts swinging the cobra around, and I am just utterly confused. You know, poor guy just wants to take a shit. They can't let him, like, take a shit. Or maybe it's just custom of this village that you take a shit, okay, but you can't wipe. You know, they couldn't, like, point to him to, like, okay, there's the little pit over there, you shit there. It's just so mean that they wouldn't let him just take a leaf to wipe his ass. Maybe he can use the cobra to wipe his ass, since he just so easily just grabbed it and swung it around. And then at night, the associate's doing some martial arts moves, because, I don't know, I guess that's gotta be, he's gotta keep his practice up for his Zen or something. So, maybe it's Kung Fu. Didn't the David Carradine do that in Kung Fu? Just at night, just practice his Kung Fu moves to keep him in shape or something. So, but all the villagers are laughing at him because he looks funny doing it, because they've never seen any sort of martial arts. So he teaches Click some moves and tells him, just practice these moves and you'll be invincible. And Click just kind of stands posed. He doesn't actually do any moves, because I don't think he got the point that you're supposed to actually do moves. I guess he just thought it was just a posing thing. The Buddhist associate guy, is thinking, you know what, maybe I'm just gonna stay here in this village because it's nice and peaceful. But the Chinese grandson, he's all like, I can't stay here. I have to find my ancestor. And the associate guy's like, I can sense that he's nearby. Just remember, this is the same village that found him. I think. Because what happens next kind of makes me just confused on what's going on. So the associate guy, he does this big ritual that helps bring up the Chinese guy, and using a voodoo doll, like, moves him around, which causes a lot of wacky hijinks in the hut that he's in, and the villagers who are trying to keep him still. And he breaks down the hut, and he's like hopping around all over the village, and the villagers are trying to stop him. And Click is among the villagers, I think. So, I think they're in the same village, but so how do the Chinese guys not notice that there's a big, like, rumbling going on? And the other thing is, I'm pretty sure it was nighttime when they started this ritual, but it's clearly daytime with all the wacky hijinks of the villagers trying to stop the vampire grandfather dude. So I don't know, maybe they're not in the same village. They're not even on the same fucking continent at this point if it's night and day. I don't know what's going on. Will the Chinese realize that the Chinese vampire is right there? More wacky hijinks as the Chinese vampire is just hopping all over the village. The villagers are moving the huts to make sure that the Chinese vampire can't destroy any of them. And finally, they move the hut where the Chinese guys are inside doing their spell thing. And the villagers realize, hey, wait a minute. This is all your fault. You're the guys doing this shit. So then there becomes a battle over who gets to have the Chinese vampire. Because I guess the villagers think that it's their ancestor. And so there's a dueling battle between Click and the associate guy, each ringing their bell, and the Chinese vampire keeps hopping back and forth between the two of them. So finally, the associate's like, well, fuck this. I'm gonna just completely show you who's in charge. And he does some spell to unleash the full Chinese vampire mode, and he's chasing after Click, ready to, like, kill him and drink his blood or whatever Chinese vampires do. I don't know. I mean, do Chinese vampires act much like American vampires? Because we know, like, there's different rules for them. Like, they can't be stopped by the cross and shit like that. So do they still do the same thing of wanting to drink blood? But Click concedes defeat, and the Chinese vampire mummy is back to being the possession of the Chinese guys. But the associate dude really isn't that bad of a guy, because he helps the villagers rebuild the huts before he leaves. It's very classy of him. That's that Buddhism side of him. He's got to make sure everything is good with the world. And who knows, maybe he's planning on coming back to the village. He seemed to like living in the village. So they're off to the next part of their quest. The associate dude gets on an ostrich. Click, who apparently is accompanying them, is riding the hopping Chinese zombie vampire mummy. And the grandson is running. I don't know how he plans on keeping up with the other guys. Like, can he run as fast as an ostrich or a hopping zombie mummy vampire thing? I don't know. But back at the village, the evil woman safari hunter has come back, and she's demanding that they give her the diamonds. So the lady safari hunter, she holds a gun to the head of one of the little kids and saying that if they don't tell her where the diamonds are, she's going to shoot them. She's a fucking cold-hearted bitch, she is. But luckily the kid is not scared of her at all and just bites her arm and manages to run away because he's like, yeah, fuck you, lady. I'm going to bite your arm. And props to that kid. Unfortunately, they're able to catch him again. And this time, they have a really deadly plan. They put him underneath a Jeep. And, if they don't give up the diamonds, Crazy Lady and her evil baddies are going to run over the kid. And there's no biting his way out of it now. But luckily, Click and the Chinese guys have returned to the village, which has me wondering, why did they leave the village in the first place? Like, why did they just kind of go off? Like, did they decide, well, were they gonna leave? And the Chinese guys are like, well, we'll help Click go back to the village for some reason. I mean, did they sense something wrong was going on? Maybe the Chinese vampire mummy just instinctively knew. So Click wants to go and kick some ass, but the Chinese guys know better. They know he doesn't have a chance. So they use some sort of like finger poke thing to paralyze him in place. Meanwhile, they just unleash the vampire mummy guy, just full on. They take the post-it note off him, and he just goes wild, just fighting off the bad guys and biting them. But unfortunately, the bad guys have their own weapon. They have like this really fucking giant like warrior dude. I'm not sure if he's a zombie or if he's just like a badass warrior dude that they only wake up when they need some badass warrior type shit done. So it's now the Chinese vampire mummy zombie thingamajig versus this giant African warrior. Who will win? So the tribal warrior, he starts roaring and stomping like this just crazed monster, and it scares the fucking Chinese vampire. He's like seriously fucking scared, like, I don't want to fight, and he hops backwards. He doesn't run because all he can do is hop. But, you know, and the Chinese guys are trying to motivate him, like, get back in there and fight him. But the Chinese vampire just doesn't want to because he's scared. Luckily, the little kids somehow, they're saying something in their native language, so I don't know what the fuck they said, but it motivates the Chinese vampire, and he attacks, and he just fucking whips the soldier warrior all around, just flips him right in the air, and defeats him. Then we get slapstick fighting between the good guys and the bad guys, and somehow Click gets a hold of a gun, but he doesn't really know how to use it. Luckily, the guy he's fighting, he's got one of those like bullet belt vests, and all the bullets start going off like firecrackers. So he runs off, and Click lives to fight. Then there's a monkey that attacks the evil witch doctor, but the witch doctor kills him, and the ghost comes out of the monkey's body. And luckily the Chinese associate guy, he's there, and he does some magic to send the ghost of the monkey into the body of the Chinese grandson. Probably so he can do like monkey foo or whatever. He's gonna just kick some ass with that monkey foo shit. You know, this film might be worth it just for this scene. Oh, fucking Chinese guys like all monkey acting, kicking ass like a monkey and then running up a tree. Unfortunately, the scene is way too short, like 30 seconds maybe. Come on. I want a whole film where a guy's like possessed by a monkey ghost and is just like fighting like a monkey and acting like a monkey. Come on, Hollywood. Honestly, if I look, there probably actually is a movie out there where a guy is possessed by the ghost of a monkey. And that is probably a fantastic fucking film. And if I find it, I will probably do it for this podcast. Okay, I didn't think it was going to be possible for this film to top being possessed by a ghost monkey, but it fucking did top it. See, the Chinese grandson guy, he has a picture of Bruce Lee, which somehow the associate Buddhist magic guy uses that picture to get the spirit of Bruce Lee into Click. And so now you've got this fucking like tribesman just doing all sorts of Bruce Lee moves. This is fucking awesome. Why couldn't the whole film have just been that? Okay, now I want a film with possession of ghost monkeys and the ghost of Bruce Lee. Just, this is fucking awesome. And they let this scene go on a little bit longer. It's a little over a minute, I think. So I could go for more. They could have given us more, but maybe it's best to, you know, leave them wanting more. So, yeah, just so fucking awesome. Seriously, if you feel like watching this movie, but don't really feel like watching this movie, just skip to like the last 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes of, so far, I mean, there's still like 5 minutes left, so the last 5 minutes could be fucking horrible, but the 10 minutes preceding those 5 minutes are just epic, like belong in the annals of cinema history of like greatest scenes ever. And I guess the fight's over now. Good guys won. Yay! Okay, that sounded a little forced, but I am glad. I liked the good guys. And Chopper came, took the Chinese guys and their vampire zombie thing, which I don't know what will become of them. But hopefully, from now on, the Chinese vampire zombie will only be used for good. But the associate did leave his ceremonial robes with the village so that Click can do his own ceremonies and ring bells, and the rest of the villagers are like hopping around. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. And then they have like a little straw man that's dressed up like the vampire zombie guy. So I guess they left the clothes also of the vampire zombie, which means that the vampire zombie is now naked on the helicopter, I'm guessing. Which I imagine is kind of creepy. But yeah, that was the Gods Must Be Crazy 3. Crazy Safari. Woo! Not sure why I made that noise. Not bad. Those like final fights, the final fight scene, all of it really just is well worth it. And you probably should watch it because it is fantastic. The rest of the film, nah. I mean, the whole thing is just kind of like wacky, and the zombie vampire mummy Chinese thing hopping around was pretty amusing. And that actually never stopped being amusing, at least for me. So this was a fun film to watch. And I want this to become like a Hollywood cliche of any time a franchise is just kind of losing steam, throw in a random Chinese vampire. Has to be a Chinese vampire, not an American or European vampire, because they're kind of boring. Chinese vampires are pretty awesome, especially if all they do is hop. That is fantastic. I want Fast and Furious 10 to involve a Chinese vampire, and it will be family. It will be somehow related to Vin Diesel, because the Fast and Furious movies are all about family. As usual, if you somehow, for some reason, want to contact me, which one day someone might, velvetal@hotmail.com, and or you can just leave a comment in the YouTube video, because it seems more people do watch on YouTube than listen through whatever audio podcast hosting site that you might be listening through. So, till next time, try to avoid watching bad movies, or watch them. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. You do what's right for you.